Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that, let's be honest, can feel really overwhelming for so many parents. The whole process of navigating an Individualized Education Program, or an IEP, for your child.
You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That feeling of being totally lost in a maze, buried under paperwork, and just stressed about all the meetings. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, I really want you to hear this. You are so not alone. This is something tons of families go through.
So here's the good news. There is a map. And what you're looking at right now, that's our map for today. We're going to walk through this maze together, step by step. We'll start by understanding the challenge, then we'll cover your very first step, how to build a rock-solid plan, and how to make sure your voice is heard. We'll even peek at what's new on the horizon.
All right, first up, the IEP maze. Let's start by kind of reframing this. It's not this huge, impossible wall. It's a challenge for sure, but it's one we can absolutely figure out.
I mean, have you ever found yourself lying awake at night just thinking these exact things? You're definitely in the right spot. These are the worries that we hear over and over again. They get right to the heart of that anxiety, right? Where do I even start? What if I forget something important? How do I get them to actually listen to me? The great news is there are real, clear answers, and we're going to get into them.
So, let's tackle that first big question. How do you even get the ball rolling? Well, it all kicks off with one key action. You have to officially request an evaluation. Okay, here's your first major takeaway. Your request must be in writing. I'm going to say that again. It has to be in writing. A phone call or a casual chat just doesn't cut it. An email or an actual letter, though, that creates an official paper trail, and this is the important part, it triggers a legal timeline. The second the school gets that written request, a clock starts ticking, and they are legally required to respond. It's that one simple step that sets the whole process in motion.
Okay, so once that evaluation process gets going, the whole focus shifts to creating the plan itself. This is really the heart of the IEP. This is where we define all the support your child is going to get.
Now, the single most powerful tool for building an effective plan is what's known as the SMART Goals Framework. And I promise, this isn't just some fancy education speak, it's a practical system to make sure every single goal in that IEP is actually meaningful and will lead to real progress.
So let's break this down. Think of this as your personal quality control checklist for the IEP. Is the goal specific, or is it kind of vague? Is it measurable, so you can literally track the progress? Is it achievable and actually relevant to what your child needs right now? And finally, is it time-bound? Is there a deadline? If any goal they propose doesn't check all 5 of these boxes, you can, and you absolutely should, push back. This little framework, it's one of your best advocacy tools. Okay, you've got the tool to build a great plan. So where do you put it to use? Well, that all happens in the IEP meeting. This is your moment. This is where your voice, your role as your child's advocate, becomes absolutely essential.
And that brings us to the question, doesn't it? The one that weighs on so many parents. You're sitting at that table, you've got teachers, administrators looking at you. How do you make sure your voice is actually heard and respected?
All right, here are your key strategies. First, keep that paper trail going. Document everything. Second, bring someone with you, seriously, not just for moral support, but so they can take notes while you focus on the conversation. It is 100% okay to say, "I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Can you explain it another way?" And maybe the most important tip of all, you do not have to sign anything at the end of that meeting if you feel unsure or pushed.
Remember this. Please burn this into your memory. This is your right. You are an equal member of the IEP team. Full stop. If the meeting isn't going well, or if you feel like your concerns aren't being addressed, you have every right to stop and ask for another meeting. Your child's future is way too important to be rushed.
So beyond what's happening in your next meeting, it's also really helpful to kind of keep an eye on what's coming down the pike. You know, the world of special education is always changing, so let's touch on a few new topics that might be part of your journey soon.
We're definitely seeing a lot of chatter in the community around a few key areas. First, virtual meetings. They can be convenient, for sure, but you want to make sure they don't get in the way of you being able to really connect and advocate.
Second, language access, making sure that interpreters and translated documents are actually high quality. And third, and this one is huge for older kids, transition planning. The whole conversation is shifting to focus way earlier on what comes next, preparing for college, for work, for living independently.
All right, so where do we go from here? In this last section, I want to leave you with two really important things: hope and a list of some powerful allies you can turn to for more help.
Look, you do not have to have all the answers. You really don't. These organizations, they're like your support network. Understood.org has some amazing, easy-to-read guides. Wright's Law is pretty much the Bible when it comes to understanding special education law. And you should never, ever underestimate the power of finding a local advocacy group that knows the ins and outs of your specific school district.
After all the paperwork, all the meetings, and all the research, I just want you to hold on to this one simple truth. You are the expert on your child. You know them better than anyone else in that room. Your insights, your gut feelings, your determination, that is the most powerful tool you have.
Yeah, the IEP process can feel like a maze, but it is not a maze without an exit. You have a map now. You have the tools to get through it with confidence. So the only question left is, how are you going to use them to build a better future for your child?